Hey everyone, this is Daniel, and in today's video, we're going to look at the Power Automate for Desktop recorder. And this is a continuation of my Power Automate for Desktop series, and for the other videos, you can look at the link below in the description. So the desktop recorder is a really sweet service that comes along with the overall Power Automate for Desktop feature. And one of the neat things about the recorder is that you can actually go ahead and add all of those actions automatically just by recording them. And one of the neat things I like about this is that anytime you have those legacy applications and you really don't know which of those actions you need to use, start the recorder, go ahead and click and do your steps, and the recorder will automatically add those actions for you. So stick around, this is a pretty sweet service. But first, here's my intro video. So let's get started. And here we are in the Power Automate for Desktop, and over here I'll click on the plus new flow because I want to quickly get into the console, focus on the recorder, and then after that jump in straight into the demo. So I'm going to go and give a flow name, and I'll click on create, and then now it is going to open up another section which will get into straight to the console. As you can see, it is telling getting things ready, and we will be directly into the console. So this is neat. This is something you're familiar with. We actually looked at that in the previous video. What I'll do is I'll go and click on save, just to make sure that I actually have my overall flow created. And now we're going to spend all the time in this video talking about this recorder. So as I go and hover on that, it says capture the steps of your automation to be converted into flow actions, which is literally what it means is that you click, you start the recording, and when you're recording, you're actually copying flow actions automatically for you. So when I go and click on this, this is what happens. First of all, that main section lowers up and another window pops up, and this is what it is. It's called as the recorder. So let's spend a few minutes just looking at what all this means. It says you haven't recorded any actions yet. Select record to start recording your flow. Right click on a UI element to open the context menu of the recorder. And I'll show you what that means in a minute. So right here is the recorder. There is the reset. We can take a look at that as well. And then there are these three dots, which is like the ellipses. And over here, there's some additional features, which is the launch new web browser. It's automatically going ahead and now working with 4 different launchers: Edge, Chrome, Firefox, and the Internet Explorer over here. My recommendation to you is avoid using Internet Explorer, start getting into the Microsoft Edge, all right? Just keep that in mind. And then you can also do some image recording, which means if you have any images, you can actually record it, save that image. There's all these flexibilities available over here. So to further explain how this recorder works, we're actually going to jump into a demo. And here's what my demo is. That's close to the real world as possible. What I have over here is a legacy desktop application. It's called Contoso invoicing. What this legacy application actually means is that it doesn't have any APIs. APIs is basically a way for me to talk to that application using Power Automate flows or some other code in the backend without me going and clicking it. This doesn't have that flexibility. That means we've got to use this robotic process automation technique to automate some of the work with that application. And that's why we're going to use this Contoso invoicing application. And if I go and click on it, this is what that app looks like. See, it opens up and we've got this app. What I want to do is that on a daily basis, come directly to the support, go to the cases, and I want to go and grab the last case that comes in. I want to go and grab that case, and I want to go and save that into, say, an Excel spreadsheet. I want to automate that process. Remember, I just said APIs are not available. I cannot go ahead and do this from any backend code. I have to use robotic process automation. So here is what the application looks like. And my Excel spreadsheet is pretty simple and straightforward. So let me just go and open up my Excel spreadsheet so you can actually take a look at that as well. So here is what my Excel spreadsheet looks like. When I go and double click on it, this is what the spreadsheet is. It's a pretty blank spreadsheet. And I've actually gone and done some formatting basically just to say which one is an ID column, name, address, phone, email, and notes. So if you actually just take a look at this from a side-by-side comparison, I went ahead and actually planned this just the exact same way. ID, name, street address, phone number, email, notes. And for the same one, I went and actually added those columns over here. I want to be able to take that information from the legacy application called Contoso invoicing and automate the process by adding it into my Excel spreadsheet. Now remember, I'm using an Excel spreadsheet for the example. You could have some other scenarios. So this is what our overall achievement is, that this is what we want to achieve. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to go ahead and close both these applications, close in fact everything except for the recorder, and we're going to start the process. So to start recording, you can click on either one of the options, the record up over there or this record button over here. It's the exact same. So when I go and click on record, now I can see the pause button has come up, which means the recording has initiated. And as you can see, as I start hovering my mouse over some things, it tells me that, hey, this is a list item, which means now it's identifying exactly what your mouse is hovering over. So I'll go and double click on this Contoso invoicing. As I double click on it, it has already identified that, hey, I did a double click and now the application is open. Now, what I want to do is I want to go and capture the support cases that have come in. So I'll actually click on the support cases. And so now it identified on the left as well, hey, that's what you clicked was support cases. Next thing I want to do is I want to capture each and every column from here, and I want to go and save that somewhere else. So for the ID column, see the first ID column, I'll click on it, all right, and then I'm going to go and say, what is it that I want from there? Do I want to get a text, or do I actually want to get that ID numerical value? And it's telling me what that numerical value is. It's 1007. Well, that's what I want. So now I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to follow that along for all these other columns as well, all right? So I'm going to right click on that, and I'm going to go and say, hey, I do want to get that name. Right here, I'm going to cover over this one. Yes, I do actually want to get that street address. Same thing, phone. Let me go get the phone number as well. Get that phone number. By the way, it's a 555, which means that phone number is not tied to anybody, okay? It's fictitious. And I'll go and get the name. And then finally, I'll also go and get the notes, all right? So I'll go and get that. Now, this all became so much more easier to do it with the desktop recorder. But it's not the final thing, all right? So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and now close this. But in your real world scenario, if this was a real world scenario, what I would also do is follow on the other steps. I would actually go ahead and delete all these other columns. I mean, other data that I want, because I only want the last one. There's other things you can do over there. So remember, this is a real world type demo that I'm doing, but I want to explain to you that there's so much other options available. Now, the last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and now close this, all right? And so that's what I did. I had the open and then I have a close, and now I'm actually done. So when I click on done, right over here, it has all the steps that we recorded. And you know me, I am a very cautious person, so I'm going to go and click on save. So now it's saving, all right? It's gone and done every saving. So once it does, we'll spend a little bit of time looking at what just happened over here. Awesome. So the saving is completed, and as a verification on the bottom left, it says status is already saved. Also, now that in this one we used the recorder, it's giving us these hints. Right on the top, it says start of auto-generated actions using the recorder. Way at the bottom, it says end of auto-generated actions using the recorder. So these are really good hints or notes to tell you that, hey, which of these were actually something that you entered versus which of them were those added by the auto-generate one. I really like these little hints given over here. Well, now we want to actually go and build on top of this. But first of all, we need to do some cleanup over here. And this is the beauty of using the recorder and then having all of these actions and steps available for you to do some cleanup. So you kind of already got some hints over here. So what is happening? What is Daniel going to record? Well, update. One of the things is that these variables are not making any sense to me. So let's go and tweak those. So first of all is the first thing that we went and captured, which was basically just the ID. It went ahead and stored it in an attribute value. And the name doesn't make any sense to me. So I need to actually start changing these variable names to actually match those columns that we pulled. So just to be safe though, for me, I'm going to just put this on the smaller side, reduce the size of the application screen. Let me open this one up and pull it by the side. So I just make sure I actually get the correct information. So for the cases, there was ID, name, street addresses. So that's what I'm going to try to replicate over here. So I'm just moving that a little bit. I'm going to move this one a little bit wider. And then here we go. For that first one, I'm going to click on this actual step that we did. And here, I'm going to change the name for attribute value. This is going to be var ID. And here's how you do it. You simply click on it. And over here, by default, when you click on it, it puts the % at the beginning and the end. You don't have to worry about that. You don't have to make sure that, oh, the data or the variable just needs to be in between. Don't worry about that. Here's what I'm doing. I'm just going to type in as var, and I'm going to put this as ID or uppercase ID. Now, when I click on save, it saves it over here, and it made sure that the % automatically came in. It actually factored that in, and under the flow variables, it also went and updated that over there. I love how beautiful this is as far as understanding where to make the changes automatically. So I didn't have to go and make the change over here. I didn't have to go and make the change over there. It automatically took care of that. But let's continue, all right? So we went and got the var ID. Well, now I gotta go ahead and make sure that I get also the name. So I'm gonna click on that action step over here as well. And then right on that var attribute variable, the attribute value 2, as I just go and do a, select all, this is going to be the var name. That's what it is. It's actually the var name. When I save it, it changed over here. It changed over there as well. So let's continue, right? Let's just go and make all these other changes as well. When I click on that one, it's actually click once and then click once the drop down thing happens. And so this one is now going to be var street address. So I'm just, as you can see, I'm trying to maintain this consistency between what we recorded versus what's actually over there and the variable names. Consistency is the big thing. Again, click on back over here, clicking on this, click on that, and then below it right here, I'll go and now call this one as the var phone. I could call it as var phone number as well. Again, I'm just trying to match the column names. So I'll do that. I'll click on this one, select that again. This is going to be the var email. So I'll click on save. Next, that's going to be the last one. So I'll select that right here, click on that, and come back and click on it again. And this is going to be var notes. So if I go and click on save, now we've at least gone ahead and update all of these, and now these flow variables are making sense, and that's going to help you a lot. So what we did so far, and by the way, I'm just clicking on the save function over here, right? So what we did so far is we went and now used the recorder to get the information. But now I need to be able to save this information in an Excel spreadsheet, the one that I just showed you. So we are now going to go ahead and add our additional actions over here, okay, our additional steps. For that, we're going to use Excel. So now that I'm done, I can go and actually close this application. I can go ahead and expand this and make it nicely big. And here, I'm going to go ahead and just type in Excel apps, and then we've got to go and do a few things in the Excel. First things first is we've got to launch Excel. So here, I'm just going to grab that, drag it, and you've got two options. You could go ahead and put it on the top, or you can go and put it on the bottom. The reason I am putting it below that line over there is so that I in the future know, okay, the ones which were from all the way from 1 to 11, as you can see from 1 to 11, those were auto-generated by the recorder. The ones below are the ones that I manually added. Maintaining this consistency will help you troubleshoot in the future. All right, so we are going to launch not a blank document, but the one that we actually have. So I'm going to click on that. And when I click on this one, another pop-up comes in, and I need to actually go and find my Excel spreadsheet. So for that, I actually can go ahead and now directly go and grab the location of it, which is right over here. It's a spreadsheet sample one. I'll click on open, and I'll keep everything else as is and go and click on save. So we've launched the Excel spreadsheet. Now I need to go ahead and start saving data over there. But one of the things we got to be careful of is I can't just go start saving data on the first cell. I need to first go and find which is the first free column and row available. And for that, we actually go and get this one action, which is already available. It says get free first column row from Excel worksheet. So I'll just drag that and I'll go and put that in over here. And we'll take a look at that. See, here's what it is. It says get first free column row from Excel worksheet. So I'll actually go and expand that over here. And what I want is I don't want the first free column because I do actually want to use the assigned columns that I have. So I'm going to toggle this one off. But I do want to use the first free column, a first free row, because I want to make sure it's on the first free one. And so what I'll do is I'll go and click on save. But before I do that, I want to make sure that you see this parameter. What it says is that the Excel instance, this Excel instance is going to be run for this specific parameter, which is basically a variable. And that variable, it automatically went ahead and assigned the one that we used for the launch Excel application, action over there. Love it because it was smart enough to realize that, hey, we are going to go ahead and do an action for an Excel spreadsheet. Well, the only spreadsheet option I have available is from the previous action, which is the launch Excel. So it automatically went and assigned that. So now we've done two things. We launched Excel spreadsheet. We went ahead and identified the first column of the first free row. Next, we need to go ahead and now start saving some data over there. Now, by saving, I actually mean we need to write data over there. And the actual action that we need is the one to write to Excel worksheet. So I'm going to grab that and I'm going to go and drop it over here. And now this pop-up window comes in. So the first thing we want to do is understand what it is that is over here. Now, what the value to write with? Well, the first thing that we want to do is make sure that it actually goes ahead and writes the var ID. The var ID is the first one that we want to grab. So I'm going to go and select the var ID, and the write mode, it's on the specified cell. Column, it's going to be the first column, and then the variable, well, that's actually the first free row. That's right there, first free row. So I'll select that. All of this looks good, and remember, now we can actually do a lot of copying and pasting. So I'll click on save, and there you go. We're going to write the var ID to the first row, first column on the first free row in the Excel spreadsheet, whose instance is the Excel instance. So now when I just click on it, I can do a Control C, I can do a Control V, and another action shows up over here. However, we need to change that. So I'll just go and double click on that one. And the value to write, well, the value to write is no longer going to be the var ID. It's going to be the next one. So if I actually move this over here, the next one we need is the var name. Now, what I can do is when I click over here and I go and search for var name and I select save, it actually goes ahead and appends to it. So we don't want to do that. So something to keep in mind is that you just wipe this, completely delete this or hit backspace, select the X, and now you go ahead and get the var name. So I'll do that, and that's the only one that we get over there, all right? Column name, we got to change that from 1 to 2. And there we go. We've got the second one done as well. So we just have a few more to do. So let's go and do the same thing. I'll click on that, do a Control C, Control V. Next one is done. Double click on that one over here. This one we got to change. So I'm going to go and delete the var name because that's not what we need anymore. We're going to change the var name to var street address. Select that. Go and get the var street address right there. Selected. This is going to be column number 3 right over there, and save. Keep going. Let's keep going. So doing Control C, Control V. I'll go and open that one up over here, and then I'll make sure I delete this entire thing off, and I'll select that. And now this is going to be, what is it? What do you got after this? This is going to be the var phone, which is right over here, and that is not going to be 3. That's going to be 4 right there, right, phone. And then we've actually got just 2 more to go. So I'll again do a Control C, Control C, Control V, and keep going. Click on that one, and then wipe this off all the way, which is it's not the var phone anymore. The next one is the var email. So I'll select the X, look for var email right there, selected. This is column number 5. And then last, we've got to go ahead and put one for the notes. So I'll do Control C, Control V. So right there, double click on that one. This is going to be the var notes. And see, I just made a mistake because it went and appended. So I got to first delete that right there. Click on the X, go grab the var notes, select insert, change this one to number 6. And now we are saved. So we are almost done. The only other thing that we've got to do is close the Excel spreadsheet. So we just go and grab that, close the Excel spreadsheet, put it all the way to the bottom. And this one, we've got the option. See, it already went and recognized which was an Excel instance. It picked that up. But before closing Excel spreadsheet, it has the default setting as do not save document. Well, we do want to save the document. And over here, you've got the flexibility that, hey, if you want to make sure that we're always having a copy so that we don't always edit the original one, that's also a good practice. Well, then for that, go ahead and do save as. And when you do save as, you are given the option to where you want to go and save it, any location changes. It's giving you all that flexibility. So I'm just going to go save document, click on save, and there you go. This is all done. So now we'll go as be good stewards, we'll go and save it. And before we run it, let's go to that Excel spreadsheet that I have open, which is right over here. Let me go and close that as well. That all looks good. And now let's go and do a test. So what I'll do is I'll just do a full run. All right, so we'll see actually what happens. When I click on run, it's actually going to go through each of the steps. So it actually directly went and opened up the Contoso one, selected the cases, is now copying it automatically, opening up the Excel spreadsheet, directly pasted it, and it closed it. And so if I go back now to our actual flow, which we did, see status is ready. And it even went ahead and grabbed all the names, the one that it went and captured, it went and grabbed it. So as you can know, the top row for that Excel spreadsheet, which we'll go open up that spreadsheet, just to make sure that it actually did save it over here. It went and grabbed that. See, so it went and put it on row number 2. Why? Because it had to get the first free space of the column or row. The first free space was 2, and it went and grabbed that. Now, in your real world scenario, you would actually delete that row from your original legacy application. You would take care of all of that logic. This is just a demo. But is this logic sound enough? That is it going to overwrite this row, or is it going to add another one because it's looking for the first free space? Well, let's test it, all right? So I'll just close this Excel spreadsheet so that our automate flow doesn't get confused. I'll do a full run. So now when it's going and doing a full run, it's going to go ahead and do the whole thing all over again, grab the information. There's going to be duplicates, obviously, because the last row we didn't delete it. But hey, as you noticed over there, and we'll open up the Power Automate desktop, you see that first free row changed to number 3. Which means that if you open up that Excel spreadsheet, it was smart enough to see, get me the next first free row. The first free row available at that time was 3. And then the ID also started from the first one, which was 1. You see how smart this overall system is, that it's also able to identify the first free spaces. And then it's going ahead and making sure that the data doesn't get overwritten. It is literally finding the new available space over there. So I'm going to go and close this Excel spreadsheet and also look at a few things in this recorder. So in the recorder, right on this ellipsis, there is the option for launch new web browser. Now, when you go and launch these web browsers, keep in mind that each of these web browsers will need the recorder add-in. So for example, if I were to click on Microsoft Edge, it opens up over here and you see I already have this add-in available. And you've got this flexibility to go ahead and add in the software directly into the browser. Each of them really have that. There could be a PDF add-in by another company in our Microsoft Power Automate desktop. You've got to get these recorders, these add-ins added for the Power Automate recorder. So if I go and click on this one right there, you'll actually see that it's got already available, which is great, but you need to go ahead and add these other add-ins and extensions. So if I click on this one, for example, for this edge, you can see that if I add more actions, I already have the one for Microsoft Power Automate. But if you open up, say, Google, in your Google one, you will need those add-ins available. So kind of keep in mind that you will need all this, additional extensions added on that side, okay? So that's one of them. Now, you've got, like I showed you before, you've got all of these functionalities. You've got the Microsoft Edge, Chrome, Firefox, and Internet Explorer. My personal recommendation is avoid using Internet Explorer, stick to Microsoft Edge if that's what you want. And see, here's a good thing. It actually came up with saying you need the Power Automate extensions to use web automation in your flows. Select Get Extension to download and install to the selected browser. It's actually giving you the recommendation, right? So I'm going to go and click on Cancel. Now we also have these image recording functionality which you can toggle on. And this is, as the name suggests, for those scenarios where all you want to do is image recording. So let me show you, right? I'm going to go and now just do a record, just a random record. Now when it's starting to record, if I hover over these things, it tells me list items. If I click on it, I get that, hey, you did a left click on Microsoft Edge and this is what it looks like. However, if I now go ahead and toggle on the image recording, check this out. If I go and select it, no longer did it select that option, which was the left click on Microsoft Edge. All it did was right click on the image and it got us the image. Same thing over there. I could actually do a right click and I can also go and do the same thing for the image. But you see the other thing, I can do a right click and I can extract text from the image, which means it's got the object character recognition or OCR functionality as well. So that means we have to always go ahead and turn on from the toggle switch in order to get the image recording feature working. And finally, I want to take a look at all of this right side of the console and how it was going ahead and affecting the recorder. So you went and saw these variables, right? When we were doing the testing, you saw all the variables getting populated. That's just one section. If you go below over here, you can actually go and see all the UI elements. So basically UI means user interface elements. Every single one that we selected. See the example for what was the text that we got, cases, the ID number, the name, all of that. These are all UI elements that we were using, directly interfering with. That's the one that gets recorded over here. And then the final one is the images. When we go and select the images, here you can actually go and capture an image as well. I can go 3-second delay, 5-second delay. I can go and see the images directly over here. This is how this right side, all these features in the console directly take part in the recording functionality. So as a quick recap, we used the desktop recorder to enhance our ability to add actions, to record these actions. And we've got the flexibility to even go in and edit them by actually adding those variable names in our example. And then finally, we ended by looking at how we can only toggle on the image recording functionality, which only records the images, but it has the built-in functionality to even extract text, that is using object character recognition. So hopefully this video was useful to you, and as always, keep using Power Automate Desktop with the desktop recorder. Hello, hello, hello. So if you like this video, go ahead and click on that subscribe button and smash that like button. Also, if you have a few extra seconds, can you go ahead and put in a comment? Either say something nice or give me ideas for my next video. And until then, see ya.